Have you ever worked so hard for something and then it finally comes to fruition? Well, so did Drew Maggi, who spent 13 years in the minor leagues and just made his MLB debut this past season. And I had the opportunity to speak with him in this episode of Iggy's Sports Talk.
Yeah. Hold up, wait until the whole team show up, yeah. I'm in Neverland, can't
Welcome
grow
back
up, yeah.
into
We
Iggy's
about to
Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jakey Nizuski, or Iggy for short. And I want to thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If this is your first time watching or listening to Iggy's Sports Talk. In each and every single episode, I try to look at the deeper aspects of sports and tell inspiring stories, just like Drew Maggi's, to help you learn how to strive for your dreams, never give up, and how to overcome your mental health struggles, because we all have them. We all deal with the everyday life experiences. And if I'm able to help you learn from others' experiences through this podcast, that is my goal with each and every single episode. And we did just that with my conversation with Pirates player Drew Maggi, who has spent 13 seasons in the minor leagues and just got his opportunity to play in the majors and get his debut and his first MLB hit earlier this season. And I had the opportunity to speak with Drew about what that experience was like in his major league debut, hearing PNC Park chant his name. Also, what are some of the biggest mental lessons he's learned over the last 13 years or so, and much, much more. Now, let's get into my conversation with Drew Maggi. I'm here with Drew Maggi, and Drew, I want to start this off sort of asking about, after you retire and after this is all said and done, how would you want to be remembered as a professional baseball player?
That's a tough question. Just kind of a respectable, player that, kind of grinded out each year, as hard as he could, no matter, the circumstances I was in. Early on, kind of a prospect, kind of lost that title, and then, kind of had to grind it out from there. But it's just a tough question. I think I would just want to be respected by, my teammates, coaches, obviously represent my family well, but respect.
I think from what I've seen from your journey, at least from afar, and especially what you were able to do at the beginning of this year, it really showed people that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter the journey that you had to get to the majors. Just being able to get there is just a privilege. And I think especially from throughout your journey, you're able to help people who maybe are struggling in the minors and are maybe getting in their own head to think, if Drew can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah, ever since I was little, that was the goal, get to the big leagues. And, that goal kind of changed for me throughout my career. And, just because of, the circumstances I've had to grind through. I had some tough years, some injuries. And, I just never really gave up on that dream. And, little by little, I kind of found ways to get a job with a new team, kind of get a new opportunity. And I think that, for players, especially younger players that, think it's impossible or it's, because it is hard. There's a lot of things that have to go right, but you have to just kind of be willing to do things that you don't want to do and just kind of keep grinding it out, like kind of keep going. I know as cliche as that kind of sounds, but just keep your head down, keep working hard, and kind of just, that never give up mentality. And I think you could use that in a lot of different areas of life. I think after baseball for me, that's definitely something that's going to carry, to whatever I do. But I think that, people in general, whatever it is, whatever your passion is, I think that's kind of what people kind of clicked with my story, and kind of what happened with me was, everybody, there's so many different dreams out there, things that people want to do. I think that's kind of it, however long it takes, it's possible to get to your ultimate goal and something that you have dreamed about since, you were a little kid. So.
And I bet especially, that there's been times throughout your journey where you're getting down on yourself. Those self-inflicting thoughts start coming in. But something that I heard you say in another interview is, I try and stay present and, remember where my feet are. And I'm curious how you try and remind yourself that day in and day out.
It's tough, man. It's a constant mental battle. you have to really dig deep. There's a lot of times that you just want to yell at the world. You want to, throw things. You want to act out of character. But, for me, it was always like kind of take a deep breath and, look to kind of your ultimate dream, your ultimate goals. And by doing that, I would take it one step at a time. And, some of the toughest situations where I just wanted to go home, I wanted to shut it down, I just made a choice to not. I made a choice to kind of focus on, where my feet are, one little step at a time. And, I can't say that obviously I knew that I was eventually going to be a big leaguer because I'd be lying. But, that process that, I decided to kind of trust, ultimately ended up in, something that I was always dreaming about.
Right. And, there's even times where you got caught up with the Twins and, you had the opportunity to be in a big league clubhouse and didn't get up at bat. I bet after that, you were probably questioning, what is, next in the process. I've always, tried to believe, trust in the process and everything happens for a reason. But I bet that there's times where you maybe question that a little bit. And how do you try and remind yourself of a mantra like that? Everything happens for a reason.
I obviously got called up by the Twins, and obviously that was really tough for me. I was coming off one of my best years. I got called up, which was awesome, but then the questions kind of became, what happened? Why didn't you get in? Why didn't you play? So then there was just this whole different narrative. But for me, it's everything has kind of happened for a reason, and it took me a long time to realize that. And even this, kind of, back in AA, I've just always decided to kind of look at the positives and everything, good and bad. Obviously I don't want to be, here in Altoona. Nothing against Altoona. I love the people. Fans are great. But, I have somewhere else that, I want to be, that I'm aspiring to be. So I think that, there's just different things in life, whether it's your career, it could be relationships, family stuff. I think that, there's just a path and kind of a journey for everyone. And I think the choices you make help flourish your dreams, your relationships. Like, everything's a choice. So I think that in order for those things to happen and everything happening for a reason, kind of tying together to get to what you want.
And we all know, especially how difficult the mental game is, especially in baseball. 90% mental, 10% physical. And, from your experience, not only, throughout your journey, but I bet seeing some of these younger guys going through those mental struggles, what do you try and tell them when they're going through that? And what are some of the biggest lessons you've learned throughout your mental game?
Day to day, obviously, be where your feet are. This is such a tough game, and it's so day to day that Shaggy. It's so day to day that, you're going to have a lot of tough weeks, tough days, but you're also going to have a lot of good days. So I try to tell them to kind of, be the same person, be the same guy, good and bad, go with the ups and downs, go with the flow of everything. And just, at the end of the year, the end of the day, you're going to have a lot more of this if you stay positive and kind of work through the tough times. And also, be a good teammate in those times. Work harder in different areas. Take it slow. Don't always look and think about the negatives. Think about the positives and how you can get to more positives. So, it's easier said than done. I remember being a young player, so, I didn't always listen, and, obviously you're a lot more emotional first time going through certain things. So, it is what it is.
And you mentioned you were a top prospect yourself, and you've also been around some other top prospects. And I'm curious, from your experience, from what you've seen, what makes a top prospect who succeeds in the majors and separates him from somebody who maybe might not?
Nothing. I think that just kind of the journey before you're a big leaguer. The top prospects, obviously, it's a business, so the organization invested a lot of money in them, so they're going to get, a lot of different chances. If you're not, you kind of have to make your own path. You got to earn your playing time. You have to, when you do play, you got to perform. There's just a lot less room for error, I guess, if you're not a top prospect. But at the end of the day, you're a big leaguer, you can get to the big leagues, it's all the same.
At the end of the day, kind of like you said, everybody's just out here just trying to play your favorite game in the world. And I bet especially for you, when you got that moment, getting the call up, when you stepped in the batter's box, everybody was chanting your name. I'm curious what advice you got from some of the guys up in the Major League clubhouse on how to sort of not allow those nerves to get to you and just sort of enjoy the moment while also trying to make a statement in the game.
Yeah, actually, before the first game that I went in, Austin Barnes, who was on the Dodgers, I was talking to him in the outfield, and I play with him back at ASU, so we're good friends. I haven't seen him in a while, so it was good to see him, but he just, kind of told me, hey, remember, it's just a game. It's a game you've been playing your whole life, just on a bigger stage. And, it was like little things like that, kind of, enjoy the moment, or, really don't try to, control your emotions. Let everything kind of happen, So it was just kind of throughout the day and getting text messages, kind of just, little advice, tips to kind of get me through my, my first experience playing and then starting. So
I hope that you are enjoying my conversation with Drew Maggi, but I just want to take a second to talk to you about today's sponsor, which is Versus Game, which is your opportunity to make money from your knowledge with questions that are 1v1. And if you get it right, you get paid. As a player, you can play for free, or you can play with real money by purchasing ticket bundles and going up against players that choose the opposite answer as you. I'm actually going to be coming up with questions that you can interact with over the next few weeks. This week's question is, would you rather be a quick riser to the majors and have your career not pan out in the majors, or be a guy like Drew Maggi and spend 5 to 10 years in the minors and have a little bit of a slow riser situation, but you'll always be remembered for your debut, kind of like Drew was? Let me know your answer and go over to jakeiggy.onversus.com. I'll be talking about the result of this question in the next episode, as well as presenting a new question. But after you vote, make sure to comment and let us know your reasoning, because I'll be replying to comments throughout this week. I'd love to hear from you. Now, let's get back into my conversation with Drew Maggi. As somebody on the outside, that whole experience, seeing not only your first at bat, but your first hit, it was tough to not get tears in your eyes, get chills, especially if you're a true baseball fan. And I'm curious for you, after that experience, what did you keep and what do you really cherish from that whole experience? I mean, in terms of keeping the ball, the jersey and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I kept the ball. I was actually, after I got my first hit, came into the clubhouse and, Shelty kind of gave a little speech and was just, he had some good words, just kind of, this is one of the best first hit balls I've ever given out. He tossed me the ball, everyone kind of went nuts, gave me the whole beer shower, everything. And, yeah, that was, I went back to the hotel room after that. And, yeah, slept with the ball was on the bed. It was just special to me, because it kind of just symbolizes, the fact that I was able to accomplish, something that even I thought was impossible. So, I remember, I was on the bed that night. I was bawling. I don't even know why, because I don't really cry or get emotional. But, I'd had the TV on, SportsCenter was on, and they were kind of going over the hit. Ball was there. I was just, I was getting off the phone with family, friends. So it was, that's definitely something that it's going to go in a good spot and, be cherished.
Had to be like a pinch me moment seeing yourself on SportsCenter, right?
Yeah. Well, the first night I couldn't even believe how it kind of blew up. And the first night, I don't know if you know this, but the hotel I was staying at, I had my mom, my dad, and my 3 brothers all staying in one hotel room. So that was a nightmare. But, yeah, the first night, we were watching TV, and this is before kind of anything happened. And, it was like a flash before a commercial break, and it showed me. It was probably like midnight, and my mom was like, "Was that you?" I was like, "I don't think that was me. Was that me?" And then it came back, and they did a segment on me, and it was crazy.
I gotta tell you, outside of the baseball stuff, the coolest part about your whole experience up with the Pirates was seeing your family's reaction. Your mom and your dad in the stands, tears in their eyes. Talk about the support system you've had over these last 13 years, not only from family but also friends, and how they've really helped you be able to continue keep going.
I mean, yeah, none of that would ever happen without my family and my support team, my friends. No, because I've obviously been playing for 13 years. I've been in some really tough, dark times, not even just from baseball, but, real world, real life stuff. So, just my mom being kind of my psychological best friend, she kind of has just helped me through it all, kind of kept me balanced. My best friend, Nick Nudo back at home, just always – it's kind of like the guy from Invincible, the movie, his best friend that picks him up, but he's just always got an inspirational quote or something he's throwing out. And then my brothers, I have 5 brothers, just always kind of, when I would throw out an idea or something that I would do to keep me in the game, they were never like, are you going to give that up already? It was always, helping me find an angle or helping me or because they know I love it. So, and obviously listening to me kind of babble, that's a big thing for me too. But, and then my dad just, coach since I was little, just kind of teaching me everything about life, baseball, the journey. And I just, I wouldn't have been able to do anything without them.
And you brought up your mom sort of being your psychological best friend, and also how all those other people really helped you through all this. And I'm curious if there's any piece of advice that you tell yourself or that you keep in your mind to motivate you each and every single day that maybe one of those people said to you that you feel comfortable sharing.
I mean, there's been so many different things, but something my mom has always told me is never give up. So I mean, that's kind of been that comes from childhood. So, and I mean just those words alone, I mean, they're powerful words, in anything. It's, when you say it, you automatically feel better, I'm not giving up, never give up. So, that's just a little something that, my mom would text me late at night, had a tough game or going through a rough patch or a rough stretch, and just kind of something that would kind of center me back to, to what's important.
Makes sense. And also throughout your journey, you've had the opportunity to play with some players who were big top prospects and players who are making an impact even right now. But I want to start off with Yasiel Puig. You got to play with him, back in 2015, especially when all the sort of prospect hype was happening for him. I'm curious your experience playing with him, especially during that time.
That is a strong man. He came up one time behind me in BP and just put me in a bear hug, and I couldn't move. I was like, this is a strong dude. He was a cool teammate, man. He was really just a fun guy, kind of a clown. Obviously really talented, but I mean, it was a short stint. It was about a month that I played with him, so didn't really get to know him that well, but from what I saw, I mean, it's a fun teammate.
And then Luis Arraez with the Twins, and now obviously with the Marlins, now chasing maybe Ted Williams 400. But I saw when you played with him, he had 23 hits over 7 strikeouts. So are you surprised that he's hitting the cover off the baseball now in the majors?
No. He's gonna do that every year too. He just Lou, man. He's you want to talk about a good teammate and a good man too. He's the best. So he's gonna hit 350 to 380 every year. He just puts the bat on the ball, and the kid just gets hits. So, and he brings energy. He's the same dude every day. Brings the energy. So what he's doing doesn't surprise me at all.
It's unbelievable. And, he could break the record for the most 5-for-5 games, which is even crazy to think about. But just last 2 things for you. First is, what advice would you give to your younger self, whether it's, looking back at maybe some of those dark times where you were thinking about maybe giving up?
I think ask more questions for me. When you're younger, you kind of think you know everything. And for me, that was not entirely the case, but, I just thought I figured it out. I was a big prospect coming in, and I think for me, I would ask a lot more questions. I kind of had to learn that as I went through, and I started to ask questions, and I started to really, listen to the older guys, ask them questions, watch how people worked. I think that early on, focus on that, and just don't be so hard-headed in everything that because you don't know a lot, even though you think you do. Just ask questions are good, man. You learn a lot from them.
Just try and be a sponge. That's what I've always been told. Learn from other people's experiences. And then just last thing for you, when your baseball career is done and you're starting to look towards maybe doing some of your personal stuff or your other hobbies, like, who's Drew Maggi going to be outside of baseball after you retire?
I mean, just same old Drew. I'm going to be passionate. I'm going to, find something that I love, something challenging, and I'm, going to go after it, work with good people. I'm hoping something with one of my brothers, have some family involved, and yeah, I guess maybe get into some business, maybe movies. I don't know. I don't know what that is yet, but just something that I'm definitely passionate about.
I just didn't know if you ever thought of, like, staying in baseball, wanting to be either a manager or a mental skills coach or anything like that.
Oh, for sure. I definitely want to get back to the game, everything that it's done for me and taught me. So I don't know when that'll be. I think after my career, I kind of want to take a little bit of time off. But I think that, managing in a big league clubhouse, being a hitting coach, but yeah, also a mental guy. I like to talk to people. I like to help people. So, that's, which I think I could do as a manager. So, I think I definitely see myself maybe college, younger kids. So we'll see.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. And then you brought up movies. Last thing, if there was going to be any actor who would play you, if they made a movie on your life, who would you want it to be?
I mean, Brad Pitt in his prime. I'm just kidding. I like Miles Teller a lot. He, he's a Philly guy, likes baseball, and I mean, I watch The Offer. It's like one of my favorite shows. So, yeah, probably Miles Teller.
I saw this podcast episode, and they were talking about this, and they said Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire, and then they're like, wait, we just said all the Spider-Man actors.
I am Spider-Man. No, yeah, I don't know about them. They might be a little too soft for me.
I love it. I had to ask. Thank you so much for taking the time, Drew. Really appreciate it, man. I hope that you did enjoy my conversation with Drew Maggi and was able to take something away from this conversation that you can apply to your own life. We're all striving for things in this life. We all have dreams, and it's tough to not allow external comments or self-limiting beliefs deter us from our dreams and sort of try and force us to give up. And Drew said multiple times in this conversation, never give up and keep going. And if Drew was able to keep going for 13 years, striving for his dream to be a Major League Baseball player and was able to achieve it, then you can do the same exact thing. And if you want to hear more episodes just like this one, go over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. I have some great episodes from the last few weeks, speaking with guys like Alek Manoah, Marcelo Meyer, and much, much other people that are able to help inspire you, look at a deeper lens in terms of sports, as well as help you overcome your mental health struggles. That's ultimately my goal with each and every single episode. And if you want to stay tuned for future episodes, make sure to subscribe over on YouTube or whatever audio platform that you listen to. You can also follow Iggy Sports Talk over on Instagram. It's at Iggy Sports Talk. But as always, I greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. But I hope you have a great rest of your week. I'll see you and talk to you next time. Peace.